Hey guys, what's going on? Okay, so this video is going to be basically hashing out what happened down there at the range the other day. The last video that I put out that was really long. I hope it wasn't terribly too long and terribly too boring. I tried to edit it and fast forward some stuff to kind of cut the time down, but anyway, that was my first attempt at a range video. So this is going to be, like I said, we're going to be going over the data that I collected, the velocities, the accuracy, just how this gun did, and how the ammo did. Okay, some of it's pretty surprising, and some of it I'm very happy with. But anyway, before we do that, I want you to look real quick at I have a new setup. I have a little, not really new setup. I have a tripod now, so it's cool. This is a scope I think I kind of mentioned in the video a little bit. This is I'm gonna get the names wrong. Anyways, it's the Leupold. It's the 2.5 to 8, I think 36. Which my understanding is that it's a clone correct scope for this gun. And I think, when you look on these pictures, these guys here, this is kind of what I'm going for. Actually, I'm more going for this kind of guy. You can see the differences between these two. Basically, this guy just has like an A2 flash hider. This guy actually has the op sync and set up for a suppressor. Main differences as far as I see, that's just internet pictures and stuff. But obviously I'm going for the suppressor, and that's coming later. I don't know. That's coming later. But the scope, what we're talking about right now, it actually worked really, really, really well. And spoiler alert, I'm going to tell you, if you watched the range video and you saw me, I don't think you saw me take it off and put it on, but you saw this scope on my SBR. I took this scope off, I fired it on the SBR, did some stuff like that, put it back on, and then I went, and that's when I shot this last target that I had, that I mentioned. And as you will see, it has, as far as I can tell, has no noticeable shift. All right, so it went right back to zero with these, the arms number 22, the arms scope mounts, scope rings, whatever. Really, really good. One thing before we get into it, as I'm gonna try to show you, when I got this scope, the only thing that I have negative to say about it, which was my bad, not its bad, is if you look, okay? Yeah, focus, come on. I don't know if it will or not. Anyway, there you go. The top of that, the knob, this thing is calibrated. I don't think it's really focusing, is it? It's calibrated for 7.62. Okay, and I didn't really know that. The scope itself is fine, all right? Nothing is bad, and as far as I can tell, nothing is out of spec as being a clone correct scope. The knob is, okay? And I contacted Leupold, and I've heard a bunch of different stuff. I've heard that you can send this thing in, and they'll swap it out for free. I've heard that they'll just send you one for free. I heard people say, yeah, it costs like $100 and whatever dollars, so that's some big differences. And after contacting them, I got an email saying it would cost $70 to replace this. And I was like, dude, I'm not doing that. If I do that down the road, I said, dude, if I do that down the road, I'm going to do it the real way for $70, and I'm going to find which one of these, which ammo I'll ultimately be shooting primarily out of the gun. I'll get as much data as I can get, so I get the right knobs made for that if I'm making it for that. You know what I mean? Instead of just getting, a Mark 12, Mark 262 load knob and just generically using it, I was like, whatever. But then they called me, like, no joke, 3 minutes after they emailed me, and they're like, hey, yeah, we can do that, and it'll be like $18 shipped. We'll just send you the correct knob. I was like, whoa, okay, so we did that. So that came in today, and it didn't come with an Allen wrench or anything, but it just came in a package, and try to get it where you can see. It appears to be the correct one. Now, the letters are a little bit bolder, okay, and they stand out a little bit more, but it came from Leupold, and that's the best thing that I can do. This is not correct. This is more correct than that, if this isn't incorrect. Anyway, like I said, it did not come with the Allen key wrench, so we're just going to change this out. I'm going to use my own Allen key, and it has 3 little screws that hold it in, and this is awesome. I really like how they do this, because you don't lose your zero or any of that. They're very easy to change when, if you're not to change out, I guess they are, but if you're sighting in your gun and you just want, you know, you want to change it to go back to 0 because it has a 0 stop. They're very, very helpful. So we'll just screw these guys out. I've never actually taken one of these off, I don't think. There we go. So they look about the same. And that light's really going to play bad juju on me. Alright, so then we're going to try to get this thing back to 0. Okay, this is interesting. I want to show you this. And again, the light's kind of being weird, so I don't know how well you're going to be able to see. But if it will focus... come on. Anyway, it's not going to want to let you see because it's being mean. Okay, right there by the dot, by the arrow, you can see this little thing right there. That's a little nub, kind of. And that nub, that's how your 0 stop works. That nub interfaces with this little ball they have in here. Man, that is really that little ball. So this will only go one rotation, but that's all it's made to do. So you have a 0 stop, so you can do your elevation and everything, and then be able to stop it. All right. So that is going to be that. Cool, perfect. Okay. And then basically, I'm just going to screw it back in. Sight it in for 100. I think it's awesome how they do that and how it's really simple. I've never had a scope with a 0 stop, so I can't really do a true like comparison of like this one's better than another one. But first impressions, I like how they did it. It's a good idea. A couple things. This about this gun that may have changed, I don't know. I changed out my lower receiver. It's an 80% lower. Make sure this is in here right. I want to talk about that real quick. Cool. From this guy, talk about this guy real quick, give him a shout out. Okay, I changed out my lower receiver. It was an 80% lower, milled it out and all that kind of stuff. And as you can see behind me, this guy here, Harbor Freight drill press, do not use these to mill out your lower receivers, you'll jack them up. I did that to this one. This is another one I tried to do. Got these at a killer deal. What I end up having to do is backfill everything with JB Weld and then cut it back out, which is really a pain in the butt. But this one is ruined, I think, unless y'all have any ideas. See if you can look in there. I destroyed where your selector, you have that little pin on the inside. Yeah, I accidentally milled that out because that stupid thing. Anyway, the Harbor Freight drill press is not made for this, so it's really not a knock against it. It's a drill press, it's not a milling machine. But it worked well enough on this guy. And a cool thing, what I want to give a shout out to these guys, Dogfight Inc. Incorporated. Dogfight Incorporated. These guys right here. Super awesome guy. We had some good communication. He emailed me. Basically what they do is they provide you with these little, you're really not going to be able to see it on here very well. Kinda, it's on there. This is like your vinyl sticky that you can put on your firearm, okay, and then you use some kind of, it's not a solvent, can't think of the name, but it's basically vinegar and salt, and you use a battery charger, like a car charger, and you hook up the, I think it's the negative, one or the other, you hook up the negative to the thing that you're going to engrave, electro engrave, and then you put, you know, a cotton swab or whatever you want to use as your, is it an anode? I forget, I don't know. But you use that, and basically what you get, it's freaking awesome. You can look on here. I was able to engrave this stuff in just like a few minutes, okay? I'll try to do some close-up pictures of it because it doesn't really come out very well on the camera, but it etches it in there. It looks very professionally well done, not by me, but by being able to use these things, because there's no way. I thought about using like a punch, like that. No, that does not work. Punches don't work very well on this aluminum anyway. But being able to do electro etch, that was awesome. So I got this with my specific serial number that I wanted. He'll do that for you. And I believe Hydro-Matic and Colt, and there may have been some others, the early M16 versions, M16A1s. See, I tried to recess. I didn't do the best job in the world, but I tried to recess the back here and this side. Where you go, right there. You know, kind of cut that stuff out, and on the front, how it is more angled right here. It doesn't have that slope that the A2s have. Tried to make it a little bit more M16A1 style, okay? But it worked out pretty well. I don't think I have talked about this before, but that's what's going on with this. The rail, still waiting on Knight's armament. Once this is done, basically most of the gun is done. There's a couple little things, couple little pieces like the dust cover that's got words on it that's gonna have to go away and get changed. But anyway, that's what's going on with the rifle for now. Just kind of just update on that. Waiting on the rail, waiting on the suppressor. It's already ordered. It's just waiting. Big long waiting game. Okay, so I'm gonna get this guy out of the way. All right, guys, so we're gonna kind of go over some of this accuracy stuff and velocities and go over it. So basically, what we got is I'm gonna try to go in the order that I shot it, but we'll see. So starting out with the free munition, the 223 77 grain remanufactured, we were getting averages of 2472 feet per second. Okay, and the five shot group that I shot with it was right at 2 inches. Okay, so that's really not super great, and I'm not going to make excuses, but I am going to say this right now, that I was shooting off. Was I shooting off of the bag? It wasn't like a solid rest, and it was a little bit windy. So what I'm saying is not an excuse for me, but an excuse for the gun. I hate it when people do that in reviews. They're like, well, you know, the gun really could shoot, you know, quarter minute all day. Okay, well, that's nice, that's cool. But what I'm trying to say is that I'm sure you could tighten this up if you had a proper rest. But this is what we got today. This is what the gun actually did. Okay, so not in the best conditions everywhere. This is what you can expect out of this kind of stuff. Okay, so the 223 free munition, remanufactured 77 grains, 2,472 feet per second, right at 2 inches. Okay, moving over here, we have the free munitions 5.56 77 grain. All right, remanufactured, and its average velocity was 2,647 feet per second. Okay, and that was right at 0.83 inches. All right, so that one was sub minute of angle. Okay, shot very well. We'll go down here to, we can see the Federal Premium 69 grain. Its average feet per second was 2,795, 2795, and its spread was right at 1.42 inches. Okay, this looks like to me we have 3 holes right here. Okay, you got like 2 and then 3, 4, 5. That's what it looks like to me, but just under 1.5 inches. Right, still pretty decent group, pretty decent. Okay, and then moving over, we have the Black Hills 223 77 grain remanufactured. All right, its feet per second was 2,651, 2651, and it was shooting right at 1.21 inches. And actually, the pretty consistent, pretty decent group, I would say. I think it's pretty good. Now, I was a little surprised with this. The Black Hills, the Mark 262. All right, the supposed golden child, its feet per second, its average was 2768, 2,768, okay? But it only shot a 1.3 inch group. And if you look at it, I hope you can see it in here, okay? It had 2 nearly inside each other, 2 nearly inside each other, and then 1 right under that. So what I get from that is I want to blame that on my rest, okay? Because there's no left and right, so I was pulling the trigger fine, okay? It was very tight, but I'm gonna say that it's my rest, and it was how I was aiming at the how I was aiming at the target. Because at 100 yards, you fluctuate just a little bit. That's going to throw this off. Okay, I'm sure that with some practice, I could get this shooting very well. But out of these groups, just these, the winner on this one, which I was kind of surprised, is this Freedom Munition, the 77 grain 5.56 remanufactured, shooting at .83. Okay, and right in there. Okay, a little bit left and right, but right in there. Pretty good. I thought that was pretty good. I was pleasantly surprised because this, I believe, is the cheapest of all these rounds. Okay, of my premium rounds, is the cheapest. All right, even this, the 223 from Freedom, it's even a little bit more expensive than this, than the 5.56. So I don't know. And if you look at it, it's probably because the Freedom Munition shoots a little bit hotter. I don't know. It only shows it's shooting just about 200 feet per second faster than the 223 from Freedom Munition. And if you compare the Freedom Munitions equivalent of the Mark 262, you are getting, what is this? Just about 100 feet per second slower. The Freedom Munition is about 100 feet per second slower than the Black Hills. So it's just something to look at, something to it made me raise an eyebrow at it, and I was like, huh, that's kind of interesting. I don't know. Okay. All right, so moving into the non-premium. This is the cheap, crappy stuff that you can get. Not necessarily crappy. Some of it, I mean, it's Tula, but it's the cheap stuff, okay? Stuff that everybody can buy and shoot. We're starting out with Wolf 223 55 grain. I believe this was the military classic that they have. Its average feet per second was 29.98, so right at just about 3,000 feet per second. Pretty consistent, pretty hot stuff. And it was shooting right at 2.19 inches. All right, so just above 2 inches. Pretty good, pretty decent for Wolf. I mean, I guess that's fine. I don't shoot a whole lot of Wolf, but I shoot a little bit, obviously, because there's some right there. Moving over to the Tula 62 grain. I wish I had some Tula 55 just to compare, you know, but I didn't. Just all there is. Tula 62 grain, shooting right at 2745, 2,745 feet per second. A little bit slower than the Wolf, a little bit, and a little bit spread out, 2.39 inches. Okay, so a little bit under 2.5 inches. Still decent. It's 62 grain. I was, after reading a whole lot of stuff about Tula, I was advised, or I came to the conclusion that if you buy heavier weighted bullets like the 62 and the 75 and the higher stuff, it's going to be more reliable because they put more powder, I guess, in the ammo to make it shoot those heavier rounds. So you'll get you won't have short stroking and stuff like that. I don't know if that's really true or not. I didn't have any malfunctions with the gun on any of the ammo. And that could be attributed to the gun, not the ammo. So I don't know. Anyway, 2745 feet per second, 2.39 inches. Okay. Now this is interesting. This was the Tula 75 grain. Okay, and I've just within the last year heard about this stuff. I like it, and I think I can tighten it up a little bit. But Tula 75 grain shooting right at 2,500 feet per second. Okay, and it was shooting at 1.73 inches. Okay, so that is tighter than these two for sure. And again, I think you could tighten all these groups up. But that's pretty good. For the cost of this round, I think it's around 23 to 25 cents per round. Just for plinking and having fun, it's going to shoot better than these guys. Okay, so it may be a couple cents more expensive than this, right? Than your Wolf and things like that. But it's a significant difference. It's like half the price of shooting Freedom Munition 77 grains, and you're opening your groups up a little bit. If you're only shooting at 100 yards and you're not shooting, I don't know, if you're only shooting at 100 yards, this would probably be fine. You know, if you're just shooting to having fun, like you'd be able to hit a golf ball or whatever at this size, basically. You might miss it, you know, that one there. But what I'm trying to say is for the cost ratio, I should come up with something like that, I don't know. But the cost ratio, this Tula 75 grain stuff is something to consider. All right. Moving down here to Freedom Munition stuff. These are both Freedom Munition. Over here is the 55 grain remanufactured stuff, shooting right at 3,095 feet per second. Okay, and it shot a big group of 2.45, so just under 2.5 inches. It is what it is right there. That's it, 2.5 inches. And then moving over to the Freedom Munition, their M855 version, their 62 grain AP rounds, or armor piercing rounds, or whatever you want to call them. I keep saying that. I'm sure I'll get people on there like, they're not really armor piercing. And I think I showed in the video, I know. It's labeled AP, which stands for armor piercing. That's what I understand it as. And I shot it at steel and it didn't do anything, so it's not armor piercing. But anyway, it was shooting right at 2861, 2,861 feet per second. A little bit slower than the 55 grain for Freedom Munition, but it shot a little bit tighter, and I was kind of surprised by that. At a 1.23 inch group, and it's pretty good. There's not much, what would it be, horizontal, right? Horizontal stringing. It was more vertical. I think I'm getting those right. More up and down stringing than left and right, which is pretty good. Okay, which is that's the best group even compared to this stuff here. But that's interesting. And the Mark 12 has a 1 7 inch twist rate, 1 7. Okay, and so my understanding is those are better for the heavier stuff, which really shows here. Okay, because maybe the 1 7 is a little bit too fast for the 55 grain, and that's why it's opening up a little bit. If that was true, I would expect this 62 grain bullet to be a little bit tighter, but I don't know. This is something to think about, something to consider, think about. Okay, and then our last target we're going to look at right here. This was the last group that I shot. All right, and this is going to bring up some interesting factoids, I think. Starting off with the Freedom Munition, 77 grain, 5.56. It was shooting at 2764, 2,764 feet per second, shooting right under an inch. Excuse me, I'm burping. I'm drinking that Mountain Dew. Right at 0.93 inches, right inside. And this was shot after I took the scope off and shot with the SBR, put the scope back on the Mark 12, and then I shot this group. Didn't mess with the dials or anything at all. Just took it off, fired it on the other gun, put it back on the Mark 12, shot right back to here. I think that attributes to the quality of Leupold and the quality, apparently, of those arms scope mounts. Anyway, then again, I was surprised. I was very surprised at this. And this has got to be me, I think. I'm just saying, it's weird. But the Mark 262, okay, it shot hotter, 2983, okay, 2,983 feet per second, but it shot a 2.31 inch group. That's a huge group. At 100 yards, that's big, dude. There's something going on. That had to be me. But then again, I went straight from shooting this group to this group. So why did it do that? I don't know. I'm just saying that was kind of, that surprised me a lot. That really surprised me. Coming down here to the Freedom Munition 223, 77 grain. It was shooting right at 2,569 feet per second. And again, it opened up, and I don't get it. 2.38 inches. And maybe there'll be some people saying that I'm trying to favor this ammunition. That's what it looks like. That I really like it, because if you look at the Freedom Munition 77 grain stuff that I'm shooting, on everything that I shot it with, it shoots really good. And it's the remanufactured stuff, but it shot very, very well. Okay? So I don't know. Just something to think about. These, if you watch my range video, these shots were from something else. These shots are actually from the, what was it? The SBR, whenever I had the Leupold scope on it at 100 yards, it had like a 5-shot group that kind of strung across here, but that's why I circled them and got them out of the way. The last one here was the Black Hills 223 77 grain remanufactured, their blue box, okay, and it shot at 2,854 feet per second, okay, and it was all in the black at 1.25, right at 1 1/4 inch, okay, so just a little bit, it opened up a little bit more, just a hair, than the Freedom Munition stuff. Alright, so before I close this video out, I want to go over some of this. I think it's pretty interesting. this is the first target that I shot, okay? At the beginning of the video, I did some, if you remember, if you watched it, I shot some steel just to see cold bore shot kind of stuff. And I messed around a little bit, but I really didn't heat up the barrel. I didn't put more than probably, I don't know, what I put, like 10 rounds through it or something like that. And then I went on to shoot this target, okay? And then we got the subsequent groups, went on throughout the day, did stuff. At the end of the day, I came back and shot this guy. All right, and what was interesting, and I'm glad I have my chronograph, what is interesting is we're gonna compare what happened to these bullets as the day went on. This group, the .83, it appears to have opened up, and that's interesting, it appears to have opened up 0.1 inches, okay? So opened up just a hair, just a little bit. But what is also interesting here is that initially it was firing, initially it was firing at 2,647 feet per second. At the end of the day, shooting 2764. All right, so that's just about 100 feet per second faster at the end of the day. Interesting, something to consider, right? Okay, we're gonna go to the Mark 262 stuff, okay? At the beginning of the day, it was shooting a 2,768 feet per second, okay, at the beginning of the day, and it shot a very decent, and I think it could have been better, a 1.3 inch group, okay? At the end of the day, it really opened up, and again, I don't know what happened, but a 2.31 inch group, but it was shooting 2,983 feet per second. So that opened up just a little bit over, actually that opened up a little bit over 200 feet per second. Okay. It's interesting, right? Okay, so then we also have the Freedom Munition, the 223 77 grain stuff, right? Beginning of the day shooting at 2,472 feet per second. At the end of the day, shooting 2,569. So again, about 100 feet per second faster. I did not shoot the Federal again because I have a limited quantity of that, but the Black Hills, the 223 remanufactured stuff, at the beginning of the day shooting 2,651. At the end of the day shooting 2,854. Okay, so that's right near exactly at 200 feet per second faster. So what does this mean? This is why knowing your gun, this is why like real world people that use their guns for their work, whether you're a shooter or if you're military and actually use these guns, or you're some kind of precision marksman kind of person, whatever you are, knowing these facts is important. Okay, for the novice shooter, for the guy that just goes out and shoots at 100 yards, who cares? It doesn't make any difference. But for the people that it really matters, it is interesting because as the bullet shoots faster, it's going to change how it interacts, all right? It's going to drop at the same rate, because gravity doesn't change, but since it's going faster, it's going to change the point of impact just a little bit. Excuse me, and the further you get out, it's going to change that even more. So it's just something interesting. And again, I am no expert on the matter, but my understanding of it is as you shoot the barrel, okay, I don't know how much exactly how many rounds that barrel has had through it. I bought it used. The guy said it was about 1,500 rounds through it, something like that. And I'm sure he cleaned it. It looked very clean. And I don't know if he actually like scrubbed everything out. Got all the fouling and all the copper buildup and all that stuff. If he got it out, I don't know. But it appears, even through this, just a simple testing like this, that through shooting throughout the day, the barrel got fouled. It got some copper in there and just some different stuff packed in, and it sealed up the barrel a little bit better. So at the end of the day, it may not have shot as accurately, okay, and I'm talking novice shooter shooting this kind of stuff, not really novice, but whatever. I'm not an expert, and I didn't shoot 5-shot groups of everything, like 10 5-shot groups, and do it scientifically, all this stuff. Okay, I'm not saying that. I'm saying just from these sample shot kind of things, it shot generally about the same. Maybe some opened up, some closed in group sizes, but the feet per second, the main thing we're looking at, it increased by the end of the day. It's just something that's interesting, something to consider. Not really consider, but just something that I found was pretty interesting. Okay. All right, guys. I hope y'all found that interesting. Hope it was informative. Just to look at the continuation of the Mark 12 clone project I'm doing, and then the velocity and accuracy. Hopefully down the road I'll do some actual dedicated videos to possibly to each one of those rounds fired from different guns, and to see how they you know, how they actually hold up. I'm really interested in that, in the Tula 75 grain stuff. I think it's got some potential. It is a open tip or a hollow point, so you could use it to hunt with possibly, and if it's actually accurate, then I don't see why you wouldn't be able to use it. Even though it is Tula, if it does the job, it does the job. And then I was really impressed with the what was it, the Freedom Munition, the 5.56 77 grain stuff. I'm glad that that stuff did as well as it did. I'm hopefully going to be getting some more of that ammo. And even though it shoots a little bit softer, or not softer, but a little bit slower than the Black Hills stuff, it is significantly cheaper. And I'm all about trying to save a little bit of money here and there when you can, because if at the end of the day you buy a box, you buy a box of Black Hills, and you could buy a box and a half or 2 boxes of Freedom and spend twice as much time on the range shooting. I'd rather spend twice as much on the range shooting, especially at 100 yards. If you're going out further than that, maybe that's where the Black Hills stuff shines a little bit better, but whatever. I'm no expert on the matter. I'm just a guy that likes to shoot. Hope y'all, again, just found it helpful. I appreciate y'all subscribing. I appreciate y'all's comments. It's really, I don't know, helpful is the word, but it really helps me know how to help y'all, okay? Because sometimes there's guys out there that want to know specific stuff. I'm not a sponsored guy, so I don't have access to a lot of different things, but the stuff I do have access to, I'll try to review it. I'll try to give y'all an educated, some education on it, whatever. So if you're looking into stuff like with the Streamlight videos that I put out and stuff like that, I'm really impressed by them, and I hope it helped y'all make some decisions. But anyway, enough yada yadaing. Hope y'all found it helpful. Y'all be good, be safe, and we'll see you in the next video.